everybody. It's been a minute since we've done this, but we are starting new content with the new quarter. So this new unit is all about immigration, industrialization, and the progressive movement. So let's hop on over to Google Classroom. I will show you how to navigate. We go through this every day, but just in case you don't forget, or if you haven't been with us for a minute, here is the rundown. Okay, you'll see if you go into Google Classroom, it's set up a little bit differently this time. I know there was some difficulty finding materials if you were not in class, so I'm going to do a better job making sure that the date isn't just when it's posted, that the date is also in with the notes. So if you are not there on a particular day, you can go back, find that date, and find the work. The drawback to this is, we're only a few days into the unit, and you can see there's already a lot of things that are posted in that unit. I'm trying to figure out a better way to organize it, but so far, this is what I got. So bear with me, and hopefully this makes it easier for all of us. Now, the very first thing that we did on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on which day you were, we went into our vocabulary and we defined the vocabulary. So go into the vocabulary slide deck. And if you are in class with me, these are the guided notes that are in your folder. So you don't have to do anything that's in Google Classroom with it. This is just for you to access, review the vocabulary, use this to fill in your classwork. I am finding out very quickly that this is an easier way to do it, to have you fill this in independently, and then we have our talk and our conversation about it. So for example, we see our very first definition. Immigrant, a person who leaves one country to travel to and settle to another country. This is amazing, y'all. If you go back in to your guided notes, you're going to see that the very first definition in your table is a person who leaves one country to travel to and settle to another country. So all you are doing is simply putting the vocabulary word, the underlined word, which was immigrant, in this blank. Okay. If you were not in class for the discussion about what to do for the summary, that's okay. You can skip that part for now. Hopefully you come back and we are able to go over that in person. But that is all we did on our first day of the unit. We did vocabulary. We played a Blue-Kit game to reinforce those words, and I will make sure that I put that link up into Google Classroom after we are done with this video. Now, those are the guided notes for the vocabulary. The next thing we talked about was our immigration guided notes. So same thing, if you open up the guided notes, this really doesn't like when I touch it, I have to click it. Okay, you have, same thing, you have the immigration notes. I pulled them out and divided it, so I'm not putting the entire set of notes up at one time, so you know exactly when we do which section of the notes. So the information for the immigration notes are here where it says immigration Pear Deck. If you were with us and you did this in class, you're able to go in and review your work and what you entered on each slide, because this slide deck is interactive. When I go to review this, I didn't do it because I was teaching it, so it's not going to show you anything on those interactive slides, but we'll take a look at what I mean. Okay, so you go through these underlined words are what fills in the blank for your guided notes. And every once in a while we stopped and we asked a question. Okay, so this slide is talking about immigration and the growth of cities and how all of that growth, the new inventions lead to interaction, but sometimes conflict. Okay, there are challenges that are being faced by immigrants and people who are moving into the cities. And so the very first question was, what do we need to know about that? What is it that we already know? We established a lot of challenges that immigrants had when we did our westward expansion unit. Okay, so let's reflect back on that. but that doesn't tell us the whole story. So what is it that we need to know? That's the second part of that question. We talked about push-pull factors. Okay, there are things that are pushing immigrants away from their countries, and there are things that are pulling them into America. All right, so there is hope for better opportunities. That's a pull factor. That's something that's going to bring somebody in. Okay, desire for religious freedom. Okay, the United States, since its founding in some colonies, had religious freedom. Okay, so that is another pull factor. Escaping from oppressive or unfair governments. That is a push factor that's driving somebody away. And then, of course, we have a few videos that go through and explain in a little more detail what some of the challenges are. Okay, so for immigration, if you were not with us or if you need to review, the slide deck is there along with the guided notes. So you would be able to submit that. Again, if you were in person in class that day, you do not need to submit the guided notes through Google Classroom. You have that in your folder. We filled that out. If you were there and you filled it out, I've already graded it and entered it in. So you should be good to go. Finally, there is a homework assignment here that a lot of you, I'm excited. You were so excited. It was great. Yay. This idea of an immigrant diary. So after examining the materials provided, okay, that's our virtual field trip to Ellis Island, an article about a Jewish Polish boy coming into America and what his experiences are. The Bill of Rights Institute talking about immigration and citizenship. Okay, I provide that. You also have the guided notes and the videos that were in the slide deck. Okay, so you have a lot of information to pull from. So after examining all of that and going through all of that, you're going to create a diary entry from the point of view of an immigrant entering the United States in the early 1900s, late 1800s, not like today. Okay, so a couple things. I'm going to pause. Okay, let's look at it one more time. After examining the materials provided, step 1, look at those materials. Create a diary entry from the point of view of an immigrant entering the United States. Okay, so in this diary entry, you are putting yourself in the shoes of someone who's coming to America in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Okay, we're using that historical empathy. Okay, you're not from America, even if in reality you were born here and you're in Ms. Powell's history class. That's not what this assignment is asking you to do. It's asking you to put yourself in someone else's shoes, the immigrants of the early 1900s. Okay, if you want to do this on paper, you can write it out. That's fine. If you want to create a Google Doc, that is also fine. If you do the Google Doc, you're submitting it through Google Classroom. Otherwise, I will be collecting this from you in class next week. The questions that I'm expecting you to answer in your diary entry. What country are you from? Where did you enter the United States? If you go back into that Pear Deck, remember there's that link for the National Geographic map that's showing you where immigrants are coming from and where they're going to in America. So where did you enter the United States? If you're coming from Europe, you're probably going into Ellis Island or some other spot on the East Coast. If you are coming in from China, you're probably going into Angel Island in San Francisco. Okay, so try to make sure that that information is accurate for you. Where do you live? What city do you settle in once you arrive to the United States? So you're gonna have to go back and think about in westward expansion when we talked about those manufacturing cities, when we looked at Pittsburgh and Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, all of those places were pulling in immigrants because of the industry. Okay, so connect the city to the industry, and then you have part of your story. What is your neighborhood like? So if you go back through that slide deck, in the vocabulary and the National Geographic video talks about some of the struggles and really describes what those neighborhoods and cities or like? What does your family do for work? What makes you hopeful about the US? These last two questions are kind of talking about those push-pull factors, okay? Why does your family come to the United States? What are you hopeful for? What are you hoping to gain? What are you afraid of? What are some of the challenges that immigrants are facing? Okay, we'll go through the rubric really quickly. Things that I am looking for. I'm looking for your take on the immigrant experience. Did you address all of the questions using accurate information from various sources? Again, I'm providing a lot of sources to you. You don't have to only use those sources. You can dig deeper if you want, but material is provided for you. But feel free to research on your own as well. Accuracy. My information is correct and comes from more than one source. Okay, if you read the descriptors here, information is accurate. I did my research. Most of my information is correct, but I could do a little more research. So if it's obvious, like you only looked at one little part of one little website, and that's where you're getting all of your information, you're probably not going to get full credit. That's a great start. Okay, but we need to practice being historians and know that we need to gather information from various sources. Grammar and style. My writing is in complete sentences and is easily understood by the audience. Okay, no grammar mistakes. Well written is going to give you full credit. Very few mistakes, so on and so forth. The only exception I will make here is somebody pointed out, well, if I'm an immigrant, I might not know English very well. Okay, but are you still able to get your point across? And that I'm able to understand it. I should be able to tell the difference between if you are doing this in a creative way or if this is just an error that you're making. That makes sense to me. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Creativity, I put it in my own words. This journal is my own. I didn't use anyone else's words or copy and paste from another source. We really, really, really are going to start getting penalized for that. If you copy and paste stuff, great, you can find it, but that doesn't show me what you know. So in order to get full credit from here on out, I'm putting my foot down. You did it all by yourself. We do research, but we need to be able to put it in our own words, okay? Especially something like this, right? We are researching other people's experiences, but we should then be able to express and explain that in our own words. And finally, if you do it, did you do it on time? Did you turn it in when you should? You'll get full credit. Absolutely. And when it's turned in late, we will be taking points away. So that is the immigrant diary assignment. Again, you have a virtual field trip to Ellis Island. Let's get that to load up real quick. And I'll show you there's a couple different tabs that you can look at. Explore Ellis Island. There's a video to watch. Here's a link that's going to take you to the stories of young immigrants who were coming in through Ellis Island. If you are a data person, if you like charts and statistics, immigration data is also available to you. So you have a number of different ways to approach this assignment, but you have to approach it. All right. So if you are in my day 1 class, this is going to be due on Tuesday. My day 2 class, I would be really surprised if you're watching this video before Monday, but if you are, you don't have this yet. If you go into Google Classroom, you do not have the immigrant material yet because we are doing that on Monday, November 8th. And it is only Sunday, November 7th. So you're not there yet, but you will be. So I'm just going to lump you in here and I will refer you to this video if you have any questions. Okay, so that's what we did in history for the week of, well, not even, let's say we started at the beginning of the quarter. So November 3rd, that takes you up to November 8th. I already know of one student that's going to be like, Ms. Powell, that was so long and so boring. I get it. But it was a review. There you have it. That's what we did the whole week. Maybe someday I will have the energy to make something a little more entertaining. But until then, there's the assignments. You're caught up. As always, if you have any questions, send me a message. I am more than happy to email you back or come see me in class, and I will help you with the assignment. Until then, bye.